So welcome everyone. My name is Taurus the Legend. Thank you so much for joining us in our sixth episode of the SAP BTP DevOps and Observability in Action webinar series. So far, we've already done 5 episodes, Unlock the Potential of DevOps on SAP BTP with SAP Cloud ALM, which was on a live stream on YouTube. Episode 2 again was the live stream on YouTube, SAP Cloud ALM for SAP BTP Operations. Last week we covered logging and alerting with SAP Cloud ALM for your apps on SAP BTP, followed by a demo, which was episode 4. Yesterday we covered reduce your operation efforts with SAP Cloud ALM, SAP Automation Pilot, and Terraform Provider for SAP BTP. Today's session will be a demo on what was discussed yesterday by our 3 presenters. I just want to note I'll be putting the link to where you can find all of the recordings for all of the sessions that we've done to date, and you'll be able to find the future sessions. The next 2 episodes that are left will be in at the same location. So I'll put that in the chat as we move forward. Our speakers for today, my colleague Patrick Richards, product owner for IT Calendar Work Mode Management at SAP, followed by my colleague Beezer Smirnov, again, product manager at SAP, and finally my colleague Wolfgang Scheer, product manager at SAP. They will be hosting you guys with their session of the demo on how to automate technical operation tasks for running your application on SAP BTP. And with that, I'd like to hand it over to Wolfgang to kick us off. Wolfgang?
Okay. Yeah, thank you, Taurus. I will share my screen. Okay.
Yeah, I can see your screen.
Good. Okay, fine. Okay. Yeah. Warm welcome also from my side. Yeah, I will start with a demo with a setup of a BTP account using the SAP BTP Terraform provider, and let's just have a kind of a recap how to run a Terraform script. So how to do this? So in general, Terraform script, you have a couple of phases to set up the Terraform script. And the first phase is to define the scope. So I need to know what I want to set up in my account. Then I will write the script, initialize the setup for the Terraform of my Terraform infrastructure. Then I plan the script. This is maybe a kind of a preview of the changes that or the changes that Terraform script will do. Then the last is the apply phase where I will run the script. When everything was successful, I will get a state file where I can see what has done, and this state file is then the source of truth, which I will can then use for running updates or doing changes to other changes to my environment. So starting today, what is the scope of this today demo? So we as we have this DevOps webinar series. So I also the scope is to set up a kind of DevOps development account. So in this account, I want in this BTP account, I want to install some set up some development tools. I need some specific DevOps tools. In our case, it's the CI/CD service and the automation pilot. I need the Cloud Foundry environment. And last but not least, I want to map administrator users and developer users to the specific roles for those services. So how this is now done with Terraform. So let's take a look at the Terraform script. So in general, in Terraform, the first step, you have a different script. So you install the Terraform CLI environment. This is I think you can go to the Terraform website and see how you can do this. This is a simple process. When this is done, you create a folder, and then you have to define some files. The first file what you need is the provider file. Here you define which provider you want to use. In our case, we want to use the SAP BTP provider and also the SAP Cloud Foundry provider for our environment. For this provider, I need to set some parameters. For example, for the BTP provider, I need the global account ID and also the user and the password. This is done by variables. The same for the Cloud Foundry. Here, I need the API URL of the Cloud Foundry API where I want to, or which environment or region I want to use for my Cloud Foundry environment. So with that, next step is then I said we need to define the variables. I said we have a global account variable. We have also I want to maybe have a more structured environment. So I want to create have a directory. And as you see, you can have default values. Default means that you don't have to define these variables later. So then the default values are taken. Also, directory description. We have some labels for the directory. Same for the sub account. I want to create a sub account with specific labels. I need a sub account name. Also, maybe if I have already an existing sub account, maybe I want to install the setup in the existing sub account. So maybe then I can provide the sub account ID already. Then, in addition, I want to have a custom IDP. They have to define the region, the organization for the Cloud Foundry environment, then a different, for example, for some services, specific plan with service plan I want to use, and service parameters I want to use. Then I have the variables for my administrators, developers, and also the variables for the username, password, space name of the Cloud Foundry space name, the URL again, Cloud Foundry administrators when this differs from the other administrators, and then some labels. And the origin, this is specific for Cloud Foundry. That is the origin is for existing users, must be set, otherwise the setting will fail. Then I need a kind of a definition of my variables. This is done by in this case with a sample TF-raw file, and I define my variables, and then I wrote more or less the script of my of which I want to use. Again, I start creating resources at the using resources. I create the PTP directory. Next step is to create the sub account. And then I need sometimes these data variables to get maybe more some information which I want to use later in the script, so I can read through existing environments variables, or no environment resources, sorry, of that. Then I want to map the custom IDP. Then first step is then to set the sub account role name. I create the Cloud Foundry environment. Also again set the Cloud Foundry roles names or user names. I create a Cloud Foundry space, again set for the space, the space manager, space developer name. And then I set up the services, and for example, the continuous integration delivery service. First step is what I have to do is to create the entitlement of the service, and in the second phase I have I need the entitlement for the application. That's the and we have the entitlement for the CI/CD service, and then I do the subscription of the CI/CD application. And for the service, I need to create a service instance and a service binding, so I could use this CI/CD service, for example, via API calls. Again, mapping the users, then more or less the same for the automation pilot. Entitlement, I create entitlement, I create a subscription, map the users. Then I do something for my development tools. I want to use the Business Application Studio. Again, entitlement, subscription, mapping of the administration user and developer users. And last but not least, I also want to have a database for my development environment. So I install the HANA cloud database. Here I need a couple of resources to set up. I need to do the subscription of, for example, of the S/4HANA tool. Also then again map my users. And last but not least, but this is I will create a database, but this step I will skip for today because it will take too long. Takes around 10 to 15 minutes to set up the database. And with that, I'm now ready to run the script. What is the first step when you run the Terraform script? The first step is that you create an init. In the init phase, the Terraform script will download all the provider modules. So in our case, we have the SAP BTP provider, we have the Cloud Foundry provider, and the default HashiCorp provider, which is the standard provider for the Terraform scripts. Next step is then to call the Terraform plan. And in this plan, you will see, okay, which it's more or less a recap of what this Terraform script will do. So you can just check if everything is there, if it's as it looks like as if you intended to do so. If this is fine, you can then run the Terraform apply. Phase, and then you have to go, okay, say yes, actions, and then it will starting creating the environment. So for that, I will then go to the SAP BTP to my SAP BTP account, do a refresh, and you see it already started. So he has created a directory and is now creating the SAP account. This is now done, and I show you. This is now done, and you can already go in the SAP account, and I will see now that he's starting. He's now, as you see down, he's now doing the entitlements of the services, and it should now start with the subscription of the individual services. Yeah, it's now creating the Cloud Foundry space entitlement, and here is subscription is creating. We should now see at least something here. Unfortunately, I have always to refresh. Yeah, we now see, okay, that the entitlement is already done. He's then do the role collection of the users. And yeah, the last step here, and it's just wait a few seconds. And we see, for example, that it already has created the space environment. We have a dev space, and in the dev space, we have the mapping of our users with the origin to our IIS we are using. Then we have in the role mapping, we have the roles in the role collection. Also, for example, for the automation pilot, we have then the mapping of the administration user. With that, see the script is done, and our account is the setup is finished. Important now here, when this is done, this Terraform state file is created. And in this Terraform state file, you see you get the full information of your SAP BTP environment. So you see all the IDs of the services of the SAP account and so on. So just you have the full information in this ID. And for example, you can now rerun the script, and then he will recheck recheck the environment with the state file, and in general, now he should say, okay, this should be the same, and we say, and the script and the result should be that we don't have to do, we will not do any changes, and the script is okay. As we see, no changes. The infrastructure matches the configuration. What I can, for example, now do, for example, I want to say, okay, I want to add an additional service, so maybe I want to use the I also need the build code entitlement for the build code service, SAP build code service. Then I can again rerun the script. And now you see, okay, the script says, okay, there's a change. Do you want to perform these changes? And then I say again, yes. And you see he's just doing the entitlement of this build code. And it takes some additional seconds. Okay, and with that, yeah, now also the entitlement for build code is done in this account. And with that, you have the full control of your SAP BTP account with the Terraform script. So the source of truth is not longer the configuration, manual configuration of the account. The source of truth is the Terraform script. And as I said, with these Terraform state, this is then the file to save. Important here, don't put it in any public environment, because as I said, it contains all the confidential information of your account, and this should then put in a secure store where you can, if you want to reuse it or distribute it under your development team. And with that, I will then say next is then Bisa. I think Bisa, who will show the step how to use Automation Pilot. Thank you.
Right. Okay. So hi from my side as well. Wolfgang, thanks for handing over.
Yeah.
I will start with a very
So,
quick walkthrough the
Bisa,
use cases. Yeah.
So Bisa, just before you get started, I just wanted to know, you guys want to take the questions now? Because I do see a couple of questions in the chat, or do you want to do all the questions at the end?
I can do that for the Terraform part.
Okay.
At least.
Okay,
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
Great, thanks.
I will answer them. Yeah.
Okay, thanks. And everyone, keep your questions coming. The team will answer your questions as they come in. Thanks. Go ahead, Bisa.
Right. Thanks. So let me just share my screen. Right. So for the upcoming demos, we of course we're gonna follow up what Wolfgang said and demonstrate it to you. So we gonna use let's assume that we have already the needed resources, and just for the sake of the demo, we are not able to continue the development of the applications and the databases from what Wolfgang just has created, but we have prepared the needed applications and databases in advance. But the point here is that we have like step-by-step approach, a real end-to-end scenario since the provisioning. Then we have developed one application, and we have provisioned a database as well in our BTP sub account, and also we have integrated our sub account to Cloud ALM for operations in order to achieve the demos that we gonna see in a minute. And just a very quick walkthrough the diagram behind what we're gonna see. So within the first demo, we have a Java app that it's deployed in our space, and it is integrated, as I mentioned, to SAP Cloud ALM, and that's the health monitoring. So health monitoring can consume particular metrics and events from that application. And we're gonna be using a crashing of that application. So just for your understanding, I will simulate the crashing of the application, which will result in an instant metric pushed to Cloud ALM, and then and then Patrick will be able to demonstrate to you how that alert is going to be visualized. And after that alert being created in Cloud ALM, it is possible manually or automatically to trigger a command that it's already configured within our SAP automation pilot. And that command is going to be to execute a particular remediation action. And it might be to upscale to provision a new instance to that application, to run a particular scripts against that application. But in our use case, that's going to be something more simple, which is going to be simply to restart the application, because like we use within the automation pilot already provided content for that. Yeah, and one hint as well, like in real world, if you have like a situation of crashed application, we have a feature in the BTP platform which automatically tries to restart the application, but that's not the point. The point behind that use case is that in case you have an event or a metric that it's possible to be kept by SAP Cloud ALM, then automatically you can trigger an automation pilot command in order to remediate that situation. Moving forward with the second use case, we have now the database. So we have SAP HANA Cloud, and okay. And for that HANA Cloud, it is running on an old QRC version. And similar to the application, but this time for the database, it is possible on SAP Cloud LM to consume metrics and detect. In that case, it's going to be an info event or a warning event, which is going to be visualized in the Cloud LM as a database that it's running on the not on the latest version, and there's a new patch, or in our use case a new QRC version. And in that case, the recommendation by our SAP HANA Cloud Ops team is that those type of updates and the application of a new QRC version should be done manually through the supervision of our ops teams. So in that case, the user, the ops user, is gonna be firing a command which is also configured in the automation pilot, and pretty much that command will apply the new QRC version to the HANA Cloud. And just before handing over to Patrick, let me just stop sharing my screen.
Mhm. Yeah.
All right.
Thanks, Pete.
Yeah, just I wanted to show the databases.
Go
Now
ahead.
you see this HANA Count 3 database, and if you click on the icon into the information tooltip icon, we see that there are new versions and a new patch it's available. And why I show that now, because after the demo, we're gonna be able to see that the latest patches are applied. So now, yeah, without any ado, I'm handing over.
Okay.
Patrick, over to you.
Just one moment. Thanks, Bisa. Let me share my screen. Give me a second. One moment. Yes, sorry. took me a while to find the button.
Yeah, all good. We can see.
So you're able to see my screen. Okay, good. So I've logged onto SAP Cloud ALM Health Monitoring. So let me do it from the beginning. We have here is for SAP Cloud ALM Launchpad. Here you can jump into health monitoring, and here basically we see also the information about HANA Cloud and about the SAP BTP Cloud Foundry environment. Here actually in HANA Cloud, I'm monitoring 2 HANA databases, and here in the Cloud Foundry environment, basically we can see some, we can jump into this and we can see some of the metrics that we have here. We monitor CPU usage, CPU load average, some Java metrics, and we also monitor the application. And we also have a custom application Perfume Store 2024 deployed in this. And basically, here for this, we also receive some metrics. Now, basically, we received an alert that the process has crashed. For the exactly for this Perfume Store custom application, and I can jump into the alert details. And here I see some information, basically more or less the information which we received from ANS. Yeah. And what I can do here is minimize this. I can trigger some recommended actions. In this case, I can do the following. I can, besides confirming an alert or sending an email notifications, assigning a processor, I can start an automation, a so-called operation flow. Here we have some already predefined operation flows, in this case of type SAP Automation Pilot. And basically here I can trigger the automation pilot command restart CF up. Yeah, and here I'll trigger it. And we can also see basically here that it was triggered, and I can jump into the and from the alert details here in SAP Cloud ALM, I can jump directly into the automation pilot command and see the current status. So, and here I see that the command is finished, and maybe if we find time, Bisa can later show us that the app indeed has been is again up and running. The second use case I would like to show is basically this is now for the database. Let me go back here for the HANA Cloud databases. We see that one of them is critical status. We can also see basically the details with which metrics we collect for the database, and we see basically that here we get some HANA alerts reported into SAP Cloud ALM. For example, that the database is running on an outdated patch. We also have an alert for this. Yeah. HANA alerts, a new patch for the HANA instance is available for the database HANA CAM 3. Again, I can do the same things. I can go into the HANA alerts. I can jump into the I can trigger recommended actions for this. Here we have a command update HANA Cloud database, and I would start it. Now again, I can see the command is running. This command might take a little bit more time. Let me refresh the UI. So here I see that this command has the status input required. This means it's waiting for a manual user action. Again, I can jump from the alert details in SAP Cloud ALM into the automation pilot command. And here it asks me, here we are in a confirmation step. I can here say basically update HANA. She had asked me, do you want to update HANA CAM database to the latest version? And I have the option confirm update, and now the update is running. Okay. So last thing I would like to demo before I would like to hand over back to Bisa is the following. Now, of course, basically this was what I showed here was not fully automatic. It was more or less semi-automatic. This means you always had to go into the alert inbox to trigger an automation pilot command for an alert. Of course, this is also possible that you configure it to be fully automatically. To do this, I jump back into health monitoring. I go into the configuration of health monitoring. I go, for example, here I go into the configuration of my HANA database. Yeah. And then basically here we see basically here that the HANA alerts, that we have defined a threshold for the HANA alerts. And I can also, and here what I've done is here I've defined that if the threshold is exceeded for HANA alerts, we automatically get an alert. But we can change this. I'll go into the configuration. And I can say basically that today is we can create an alert. I could also send an email to someone. I could also start an but what we can also do is we can tell SAP Cloud ALM that it should automatically start an automation pilot command if this alert is raised. So, okay, good. Now I won't get this alert again so soon, but in this example now, basically, if I save this configuration, the next time I get this alert or this event, basically, we will automatically trigger the recommended action / the relevant automation pilot command. Okay, with this, I would like to hand over back to Bisa because Bisa will show us basically how it looks now in how the database now looks like, and he will also show us how we can configure the commands. If you still have time, there I'm not sure.
Yep, there's still time.
All right. Perfect. Cool. Thank you very much. Then let's continue from where Patrick had completed the demo. So we have simulated, let's just to sum up. We have provisioned the needed resources in our SAP BTP sub-account. Then we assume that we have completed the development, we had deployed the application and the database, and then we simulated two events, one from the application and one from the database, which resulted in alerts in Cloud ALM. And as a follow-up, we executed the commands from the automation pilot to remediate those situations. So let's see now the output before jumping into the automation pilot, where I will show to you guys actually how the commands were modeled and what are the main concepts for the automation pilot. But as I said, let's see the output behind the whole story. And what we see here, it is the sub-account where the application Perfume Store 2024 was deployed and running. So if we look now, we see the status, it's running, which is cool, of course. And however, if we see here, we see also, if we see into the recent application events, we see an event app crash, and that was an event that was simulated manually by my side here, and then I stopped the application because it was trying to restart, and it was running out of memory. And then over here we see that there's an action which is app restart, which was triggered by that user, and actually that's our technical user. And that's one of the prerequisites to restart the application or to upscale or to stop the application, or multiple applications or multiple databases that you have in your sub account. So it's also written in the documentation of the automation pilot. So of course we need certain authentication and authorization to be granted to the automation pilot in order to interact with those resources, being databases, applications, whatever, the ticket management systems, and so on. So for those two use cases, for upgrade, for applying the latest patch to the database, and also to restart or upscale the application in Cloud Foundry, we need a technical user, and I can so that technical user should be assigned to your space So in example, if I go now to my space, which is the dev space, and if I look into the members, the technical user here, it is assigned with the needed rows. As a minimum, it must have the space developer role, but for my use case, I also have granted some more use cases. Right. So then we're gonna see how I keep the inputs for the technical user, and what is even more important, the password for that technical user in the automation pilot. And I use those inputs when needed, when I trigger the commands from automation pilot perspective. But that's gonna be in a bit. So yeah, over here, if I jump to the next tab, we see the databases which I have provisioned. There are databases which are provisioned on a Cloud Foundry level. And I use commands from our catalog for updating for interacting with the databases on a Cloud Foundry level. But also it is possible and it is also documented in our samples in GitHub repo here. And also we have a blog post how to interact with databases, with HANA Cloud databases, which are which are running on a multi-environment setup. They are visualized in your cockpit as other environments. So that's, yeah, I can also send that link in the Zoom chat. So we have a public repo with samples for the automation pilot, which are, I would say, quite well documented and explained. Just a very quick overview on those. We have a description how to use those samples and how to import them, right, how to use. If I click on that the anchor link, so here's an explanation. So they are exported as a catalog. So all you need is to find the use case which is interesting for you. In example, let's say now we have demonstrated a use case which is related to the updating of the HANA Cloud. So if I click on that one, here I can see a very detailed description and requirements. So we have details on how to update a HANA Cloud running, as I said, on Cloud Foundry environment, with details regarding the inputs and how to provide these. Yeah, here we see the requirement for the technical user as well as a prerequisite. Here it goes. Platform user with space developer role in the space where the database resides. Also, we have some links included into that sample. Right, and if I scroll further down, we can also find details on how to update the HANA Cloud. Yeah, here it goes. How to update the HANA Cloud on other environments or multi-environment setup. So, but what is more important, it is not those descriptions. They're like in addition for you to understand that sample. What it's important, it's the possibility to go into the catalog JSON file here, in example, and you can copy the entire catalog, which is gonna be with the name Automation Pilot Examples. And once you have copied that catalog, you can import that catalog, including the needed commands, directly into your automation pilot. I have done that already. So you can see the output just in a second. And that's just one example, of course. Like you can import the other examples and they will be included in the very same catalog. So you wouldn't lose some of the previous example commands that you had imported, but it's just like more will be included as you import this. Why we did that? It is indeed the automation pilot. It's quite user friendly, and we believe that, of course, it can be improved, and we're gonna see it in a bit in action. But also we thought that from our automation pilot dev team, we thought that it's a good approach to really prepare some end-to-end scenarios, because the automation pilot can be used as a building blocks, as a Lego box, and like you can pick up some commands, extend with few other scripts that you develop, and then combine it. And also, like, based on our experience working with internal and external internal SAP teams and external customers, SAP customers, like we have prepared those commands as a kind of inspiration and showcase what you could achieve with the automation pilot. And we even wanted to the kind of boost the onboarding to the product. So this is why we exported the commands exactly in catalog. So it's a kind of like you pick up the use case, you import the catalog coming with all the needed commands and settings, and then you are kind of have a complete end-to-end use case where like you can trigger it and see how it works. So yeah, then yeah, as I have mentioned about the HANA Cloud running on Cloud Foundry. So now here I see the HANA Cloud Central, and if I refresh that one, right? Because that was the screen that I shared to you before Patrick jumping in and sharing the capabilities in the Cloud LLM. So yeah, now we see that the notification is gone, and yeah, it seems that the HANA Cloud database was updated, which is perfect. So let's see then what actually had happened in the automation pilot. So that's the UI of the automation pilot and how to access to that one. The automation pilot, it is a SaaS application within BTP. So I have provisioned that one already. And it is, if I go to the instances and subscriptions, it will be displayed over here. It says automation pilot. I think I mentioned that one yesterday, but I will repeat it over again. The automation pilot, it is a product. It is a product which it's focusing on the ops automation tasks. And you need just one instance of the automation pilot to interact with any other BTP sub-accounts within your landscape. So in example, if you have sub-accounts on different data centers, you are not required to provision automation pilot in these data centers in order to interact with the resources in these sub-accounts. Even like it's a global service. It's a global SaaS application within BTP. It's yeah, that's quite useful as well. So yeah, now I have clicked on the automation pilot link here, and that's the dashboard where I can see the execution by status. So those are automation flows that were run within my automation pilot. I can see the recent executions. But yeah, what is also an important to be mentioned is that I was speaking about provided content with custom content. But let's see how that looks like. So in example, if I click on the provided catalogs, here we see the provided content by our team, which is grouped in certain categories. So in example, because like the use case was regarding the cloud, an application running on Cloud Foundry, then obviously, if I need to do something and to prepare remediation action for an application running on Cloud Foundry, that's the place where I would look at. And if I click then on the commands, then we see all of those tens of commands, in example for the Cloud Foundry domain, which are already provided and are available for our the disposal. So then, yeah, I can use the autocomplete, and if I type, in example, restart or maybe start, okay, just bear with me. Okay, let's say let me just check what I have picked up, because there are indeed so many commands. So that's the command. Actually, now I am into the execution section. So that's a more detailed list of the last 200 executions which were fired by the automation pilot. And as well, we can see within the column owner who was the actor who had fired that command. So if you see that email, that's obviously me, Biser Simionov, and that was a manual triggering. But also you can see that that's the tenant, that's the CAUM tenant, and that's the CAUM for operations who was the actor who had fired that command. So in example, if we look into that command, here, the restarting of CF app Cloud ALM, that was the command that I had modeled in advance, and that Patrick had showed to you a few minutes ago. And yeah, then restart CF app, that's a provided content that it's sitting in this catalog, APM app LM. So if I go to the provided catalogs, right. So yeah, I was looking into the Cloud Foundry catalog, and actually that command was within SAP BTP application lifecycle management. Fair enough. And as I mentioned, there are really roughly around 200 provided commands available. So yeah, now I'm in the right catalog, and if I go and I look into that restart, it has an autocomplete, which is also quite useful. So we can also use restage, restart Java app, but okay, let's stick to the restart of the CF app. Then we see a provided command. Fair enough. But if we look into that provided command, why it is beneficial? Because it already comes with a predefined input keys, which we believe are gonna be useful and are needed in order to execute that particular command. And it might be just one command, or you can combine multiple commands into a complete automation flow. And that's just one example. On top of that, we have many other examples, and some of these examples, they're related to a particular action. Let's say restart of the CF app, it's quite well defined, but in example, if I go to the provided catalogs and I search for HTTP, so now I go to the HTTP operations catalog, and here we can see a couple of commands related to HTTP requests. So if I go to the sensitive HTTP request in example, I can see a more generic command which is going to be used for, might be used for many different reasons. In example, I use that command to check a particular API endpoint, or in example, I use that command to generate a token. Actually, it's I use that command in order to generate a token for the HANA Cloud availability metrics, and then I use that token to figure out whether or not a particular HANA Cloud it is available. So as I said, yeah, it really depends on your use case and how you can combine those ready-to-use commands within your automation flow that you would like to be built. Right, but going back to the use cases that we talk about, so let's see what we have here. That's the restart. That was the command that was triggered by Cloud ALM. So we can see the input values over there. So yeah, we can see the region, the resource name, the user. That's the technical user that we use, and we're gonna reach to that as well, where I have stored that. And what is also interesting, it might be interesting for you, it is to see the output. So we see that the previous state was that the application was down, and now the resource instance was running, and the application Perfume Store 2024 was started. So now let's very quickly inspect and see what was built here. So, right, what I did in order to get that, it's pretty much I have used the inputs that are available for the restart CF app, which is our second, which is our executor here that we see, restart app. And I have used already the provided content, restart CF app, and I have used the auto mapping of the provided inputs here into the parameters which are be used once that command reaches that section, restart app. So in example, if we look into the inputs, I have specified the region, the resource group. The resource group, it has a description because, like, if I say, yeah, we need to specify the resource group, that's the name of the Cloud Foundry space, that's the application name, and so on. Of course, we can hard code these, or we can use a parameter. So in example, we can leave the alert JSON empty in case that's a parameter, assuming that there is a JSON file that can be pushed by whatever system it is, can detect alerts, let's say so. But in any way, like that can be provided as a dynamic parameter to the automation pivot and used if we need to do so. In our case, I don't use it because I have the needed details and I already have mapped the command to Cloud ALM. Right, another approach to use inputs, it is to store these inputs within the input section here. So, and to reference to these inputs during the command execution. So in example, as we see here, I have used, if I go to that input over there, so I have created an input with the name user and the type it is string. Of course, there are many different types as Boolean number, object, array, and so on. But in our use case, I know that it has to be a string. And then I have used a particular reference to a default key which is taken from the BTP technical user that I already have created and stored within my input sections. So and absolutely the same thing I have done for the password. So if I click now into that hyperlink, I will be redirected to the inputs section. So just for your understanding, that's how it looks if I click on the left menu item here. So BTP technical user, right? It is that one. Because I have created two. So yeah, with actually the one in our example, it is that one. Fair enough. So I have specified, let's start with the user. I have specified the name of the user with the technical user, and within the password, I have stored the password. And also, as I have explained yesterday, it is completely safe to keep credentials within the automation pivot. It had passed validation and security audits by SAP. So we do that. And we are allowed to do that. And once you store the password, it is already hashed and it is not visible. Like now I'm the owner, the super admin of my account in the automation pivot and so on, but I cannot get it even for me. So and believe me, I've been in those situations. Like I create for demo purposes an input keys which are secrets, which are marked as secrets. So that's an important thing. Once you keep passwords, make sure that you have enabled the sensitive toggle in order to encrypt your passwords within the automation pilot. So I've been in those situations and I say, okay, let's find a way how to extract the password to that account that I stored in the automation pilot. And yeah, even the dev team of the automation pilot, they cannot help me. So yeah, it's good enough. So yeah, going back to the exact demo. That's the command that was executed, and then as an output, also we can print outputs, as you might be guessing. So it is here, and yeah, pretty much it's the outputs that we have seen. So that's a kind of more simple command. When it goes to the update HANA Cloud database, so let's see, that's the command that was triggered by CloudTLM in our demo. And let's as well check the summary. So within the summary, yeah, the database was updated to the next QRC version, and that's the exact QRC version. And if I dig further down into the command, now we see the sequence of different executions. It's over here. So in order to have the command for updating of the automation pilot, I combine different set of available provided content. So just for you understand, like the inputs, it is the same approach over here. Everything is documented in the samples regarding that particular command. So I wouldn't spend more time here, but let's look into the executors. So an example, I need to get the available versions. So I use a command from our catalog, get HANA Cloud instance update versions. That's already there. Then obviously I need to sort the response of the previous executor. And I use a command which is a void. Over there, I can write an expression. So yeah, which is sorting, and we are filtering, and based on that expression, we can figure out whether or not there's a new QRC version that's to be applied. Actually, we sort, and within the next executor, find next QRC. We do that validation. Also, we have a check, is that the latest QRC version? Because within the command, we have a couple of options which are to be picked up. So in my use case, I have picked up the option next QRC version, but I can go directly to the latest QRC version. Also, we can look for a patch. And all of that I use with the void command, where as well, like we can write expressions. Then we also have a command to apply a user choice. It's yeah, I think you have seen that one, where like it's a semi-automated as suggested by HANA Cloud Ops. But as well, like if you have a use case where like you need to stop particular database outside working hours, you can go without that manual user choice. And then I have the executor to apply the to update the HANA Cloud in question. So pretty much that was the last piece of my demo. I hope you enjoyed. Right.
Okay.
Yeah, guys, I'll stop sharing my screen. So in case there's some question, we can jump to this.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. I see that Wolfgang's answered quite a number of the questions. Wolfgang, Patrick, are there any questions that we still haven't responded to? I don't see any.
No, I don't see also any.
Okay. So if you guys, I know that we're at the top of the hour, but if you guys do have any additional questions, please do type your questions in the chat. Just as an FYI, I did put the link to where you can find the recordings of all of our sessions. In the chat here. So if you scroll all the way to the top, I have put the link there. I have also put the link to the contact information if you want to reach out to any of our team today that presented today and yesterday. Feel free to reach out to them. Hopefully they've been able to answer all of your questions and maybe provoked a couple of new ones. We're always there to answer any additional questions after the session is over. Don't see any new questions. Okay, thank you again. Patrick and Beezer and Wolfgang for another great session. Thank you all for taking time out of your busy schedules to join us. We have our last 2 sessions next week. So as they say, same time, same place next week. Thank you and have a great morning, afternoon, or evening, wherever you're located.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, guys, for your attention. Appreciate it. Take care. Bye for now.